We got to talk about it, baby. Matt, I know you've talked about it. I've talked about it. A lot of people have discussed this backfield and what to do in Tampa Bay, Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving. And I really do think that I'm going to I'm not going to bury the lead. I think both of these two players can thrive together. All right. So Sean Tucker, weeks 9 through 11 this year, these 3 games, 16.3 half PPR points. But here's the numbers I really want you to focus on. He's handled 52% of the Bucs RB rush attempts, 48% of the overall RB touches. Bucky Irving in his full rookie season, 17 games, he handled 52% of the RB rush attempts and about 50% of the total RB touches. Now this season, weeks 1 through 4, before Bucky got hurt, he was handling everything, all right? 75% of the rushes, 74% of the overall touches, weeks 1 through 4. But coming off of a 6-week absence, in which I was looking up the injury stuff before the show, Todd Bowles said they're going to work him and Chris Godwin into practice a little bit more this week. And, I'm throwing it out there. I think he probably plays this week. You see Sean Tucker go off like he did. I need to get my behind back on the field and play. And a lot of people are now thinking, what do you do with this backfield, Matt? Because if you watch this game, the first running back on the field getting touches and carries was Rachaad White. And I remember watching, I was like, damn, he looks kind of good. He looks pretty explosive. Like White looks okay. And then Sean Tucker got the ball and it looked much, much different. And then we had the monstrous 3-touchdown performance. You look at the receivers for Tampa Bay, and while I think the story of having 2 rookie wideouts and Sterling Shepard is like a fun dynasty thing to talk about, that they are missing some veteran presence out there. You've seen Tez Johnson's participation go down over the past couple of weeks. They're really relying on this rushing attack. So preemptively, as we look ahead against the Buffalo Bills, we're talking about matchups. This is one where you want your running back, right? You want your guy to be able to go out there and do that. Sean Tucker produced that for us last week. But looking ahead, this is a team going up against the Rams. They've got the Cardinals, they've got the Saints, they've got the Falcons and the Panthers. Those are the upcoming 4 games for this team, 5 games for this team. Matt, do you think that these two can thrive together in tandem as a 1A, 1B, especially with Bucky coming back from injury? I do. I really do. And I do think Rachaad White, he's going to get mixed in there. But I don't believe you put this back in the bottle. And I do think that for an offense that they are thirsting for some explosive plays and some playmakers without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin, you're not really getting that from Cade Otton. They're going to get it from the ground attack, but with Bucky Irving and with Sean Tucker.
That last point there is why I think we should remain open-minded to this continuing, because I think that this team really needs to find a way to get both of these guys involved, because Tucker clearly can play. And look, to be fair, he did this last year where he exploded in that one game against the Saints and he just kind of got shelled. Yeah. And obviously he didn't get the first bite at the apple when Bucky Irving was out for this stretch of games here. It took until this past week for him to really get unleashed. But you mentioned it, he had kind of been ticking up a little bit. They'd been giving him a little bit more work here and there. And then, he was just the right type of back to smoke that Bills defense. Although Rachaad White, I think, had 10 carries for over 50 yards too. So it wasn't as if he was not effective as a rusher as well. But I just think that there's an element to Tucker's game that can complement Bucky Irving, and he can be that explosive runner, be a home run hitter for them, because you mentioned the concerns in the passing game. I'm with you that it's cool that they have survived as long as they have with Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson, and Sterling Shepard. But we're starting to see now that teams are watching the film and seeing, okay, Sterling Shepard, look, I love Sterling Shepard, but he's a nice role player. Tez Johnson, I think, can win in particular ways, mostly on outbreaking routes when he's a condensed outside receiver or a slot. But they're starting to now take away Emeka Egbuka. They're like true double, which never happens to rookies, even the best rookies. Hardly ever happens, but it's starting to happen to him because he's been that good. And there's just a clear alpha and then a drop off to everybody else. So they need to find a second pitch somewhere. They're 20th in neutral pass rate. They need to lean into this ground game more. And I think there's a way to get Bucky and Tucker on the field, but obviously that's up to them, not us.
Yeah, and I think we do have kind of a short memory, because this season, Bucky Irving on the ground was pretty bad. And if you don't recall, the first couple of weeks, people were complaining about him not being as productive as he was last year. You're talking about through that 4-game samples, that 5-game sample size, 4-game sample size, 2 of those games, he averaged exactly 2.6 yards an attempt. In the other 2 games, he averaged 4.2 yards attempt. His long run through those 4 games was 16 yards. He had 0 rushing touchdowns through that point in time. He made his hay as a receiver. He had 2 receiving touchdowns. He had 193 receiving yards on 19 targets on 19 receptions. He damn near had the same amount of receiving yards as rushing yards, and he touched the ball 71 times out of the backfield. Like, I know that the lasting image of the Bucky Irving that we've known to love was what he was tearing it up to do at the end of last season. But the start of this season, him on the ground as the primary ball carrier wasn't very good. And I know Wirfs wasn't on the field. I know some things were different. I just think that the complement of this backfield with somebody that is as explosive as Sean Tucker, I think they've truly found something, and they need it. They need it very badly because Carolina's on their heels. Carolina is right on their heels right now.
That's a really good point. And Tristan Wirfs obviously is back now. I think that does help the run game, especially on the perimeter.
Yes.
But they are banged up in the guard spot still. They're starting Michael Jordan, not that Michael Jordan, and Dan Feeney as their guards. And obviously Marpet is, not Marpet, geez. Cody Mock is not coming back. Ali Marpet, he'd help them out, former Bucks guard. But
yes,
Cody Mock is obviously not coming back. Bredesen has been banged up, but at least now they have Graham Barton back at center. That helps the run game a lot. So I think the main takeaway here is that if you're like me and you had Sean Tucker on a couple benches last week, you can maybe consider playing him in this spot, even if Bucky Irving is back. And if Bucky Irving's not back, if they give him another week, we'll see. I think Sean Tucker is in a pretty good spot here. They definitely need to get going in that ground game. Our final data point of the week, which comes from me here, TreVeyon Henderson, can he hang on to the running back 1 gig? Here's what's happened since week 9. TreVeyon Henderson has played 82.5% of the snaps, 74% of the running back touches for the New England Patriots. He has been a bell cow back, and throw out the yards per carry here for a second. He has been really efficient as the lead runner for this team. 28 rushing first downs in this span, ranks behind only the following backs: James Cook, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Rico Dowdle, Derrick Henry, and Travis Etienne. He is tied with Kyron Williams and Devon Achane. Pretty good company right there. And here's how this has happened. And in terms of him, it's not these like long runs or anything, because 4% of his carries have gone for 5+ yards. That's 14th out of 24 qualifying running backs in the span. And just 6.4% of his carries have gone for 10+ yards. That's 23rd out of those 24 running backs. So people want to say, yeah, you take away those big plays from that one game. What is that? What has he been doing? Well, number one, that's silly to say take away his best plays. He was actually terrible. But the stats show he's been more of a grinder than a big playback. He has converted 80% of his third down runs so far. So I think there's a lot more sustainability here with TreVeyon Henderson, the running back, than maybe people are giving it credit for, especially going into just the smash spot of all smash spots against that Bengals defense.
Yeah, great spot against Cincinnati. And it has not just been big plays. It has not just been him finding wide open runways and just hitting the gas. I mean, he is forcing missed tackles. You see on the screen right here, 12 forced missed tackles, 10 rushes for first downs, 252 yards after contact over the last 3 weeks. Like he absolutely has the big play in his arsenal because he's an explosive athlete, but he's shown some good consistency just picking up yards. Like he's been very good just rushing the football. And I think for me, I watched Mike Vrabel, he was on a podcast or a show interview talking about Henderson and how they can block a little bit better for some of the run concepts. And he's gushing over his mentality and the way that he finishes runs and falls forward and picking up extra yards. Again, I think what happens is people look at the situation and the current usage, Matt, and they say, well, you know what? This isn't going to last long term. He can't do this for his whole career. He's got to find somebody. I ain't worried about 2029. I don't give a damn about the 2027 season. We're talking about right now, here in 2025, for this version of the New England Patriots. I think he absolutely can hang on to the RB1 gig. And from an overall fantasy finish perspective, we throw the term league winner out there a lot. This is the definition of a potential league winner. The guy that for the first half of the season didn't do much of anything but tease you. He just teased you a little bit to come on at this point in time and to produce at this level. I think he absolutely can hang on to it. And what a soft matchup versus Cincinnati.
And on that point, we got to get to a break here, but on that point, you mentioned, like, can he be the league winner the second half of the year? People always say, well, and I got a lot of these comments when I tweeted about TreVeyon Henderson. It's like, well, yeah, I took this guy and it's too late now. It's too late. I took him in the 5th round. And because of that, like I'm now in 10th place or whatever. Hey, guys, you know what? I was talking to my mother this weekend. She's 3rd place in her fantasy football league. You know who she drafted in the 5th round? TreVeyon Henderson. So yeah. If my mom can do it, she doesn't even know who like half the players are. If my mom can do it, you can do it. Okay, so figure it out. You draft the rookie in the 5th round who doesn't get you points till the second half of the season. Figure it out, boys, because my mom figured it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get serious here. You can draft a rookie.
Shout out Mama Harmon. Shout out Mama.
That's
Harmon.
right.